Groet aan al die van Rhyns waar ook al julle is in die wêreld. Ek is al amper 40 jaar in Australië, saam met my ouers gekom in 1983. So ek sal maar nou oorskakel na Engels. My Engels is bietjie beter. Ek kan nogal goed op Afrikaans praat, maar daar's party woorde wat ek net nie ken nie. Ek wonder oor die Familie Wapens. And so I've decided to make this video. The one I just showed you, we had in our house, of the 3 warthogs. Then I've seen many different sorts. I've seen this one that has yellow and black. I've made a YouTube video and I discussed a little bit about the family history there, but not so much about the family emblem or the coat of arms or the Wapen, as you'll say in Afrikaans. So it makes me wonder what is the real one. So I'm just going to make a bit of a discussion, not to upset anybody, just to put some thoughts out there. So there's many coat of arms. I've seen this yellow and blue one recently, which, by the way, appears to have a Swedish influence, and I'll talk about that soon. I've wondered about the name Van Rhyn, and today I discovered there's a channel called the Rhyn, and I think this is actually why we're getting the name Van Rhyn, and I'll explain why later. This is in Utrecht, and there is a castle there called Rhynhuizen, which I'm showing now, and I'm following the Rhyn channel, or Vaartse Rhyn. Now, if you go and look at YouTube or Google or anything, you'll find there's an awful lot of emblems or coat of arms. Here I'm showing some of them. Obviously the spelling has changed, but there's an awful lot of variation. So I'm trying to make a video about which one I think is the most likely real coat of arms. I'm not saying I can prove it. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying, based on what I found out, I made a video. So there's a lot of variation, as you can see, and it's quite confusing. Sometimes the coat of arms was just made for a person. Sometimes it's made and carried down through generations. So how do we know after all this time? Well, we don't. But I'm going to put out some thoughts, and you can see what you think. It's just for fun. But I found through my searching some Dutch things, so I've translated it. And I'm not going to read it all out here, but it's basically talking about the knights and the knights' court town and Ridderhofstad. So some of the Van Rhyns seem to be involved in that somehow. One of them I read died basically in a fight, so I guess he was a knight. You can find this on the internet. I'm going to put all the links at the bottom of this video. Maybe not today, but soon. When you look at that map, you'll see there's 4 weapons. Dirk van Rhyn, and the House te Juftas Rhynhuizen, and Rhynenberg, and also another one, Juftas Rhynenstein. And you'll see they all have a gold background and 3 red stripes. And these are all castles, and you can find all these on Wikipedia. They all have the gold background and the 3 stripes. I think they're all connected. And I think this one is connected, but maybe in the passage of time, the red was lost and replaced with black. This one is similar, but the red is a bit wrong. This one I think is probably the original one and correct. You can see the 3 gold, the gold background with 3 crosses of red. Now there's a place called Utrecht, and there was a village called Jutpas, and it's now part of a town called Nieuwegen. Pardon my spelling. And the Van Rhyns are still prominent there. There's a Anne van Ryn College in Nieuwegen. And it seems to me that this is where the family started. So like I said, Jutpas is now part of Nijmegen, which is basically part of Utrecht City, Utrecht Province. And the coat of arms is made of these two emblems. And one of them is from the Rhynhuizen, and the other one is from another family. They think it's the Van Lunnersloot. And so this is all translations. It talks about Jutvast upper and lower. And the lower, or Nederland, talks about the Van Rhyns living there. So basically, you would expect near the water, near the river, or near the channel, because it's lower. So that's the weapon of the Lunnersloot. So the Lunnersloot and the Rhynhuizen weapons are the Jutvast weapon when you put them together. And here another reference tells us it actually comes from the Rhynestein, so another branch of the Van Ryn family. So, but as you can see, the Rhynestein and the Rhynhuizen coat of arms are very similar. It's just that one has a blue background. Now, Rhynhuizen is a castle that still exists. And so that's where it exists on the map. And it's on the Rhyn Channel. And that's important. Here's a picture of what it looks like. I'd like to go there one day. Here's a bit about the channel. And I was wondering for many years why we called Van Ryn. Where's the river? Now the river's everywhere, obviously. But you can see there, it says Vaartse Rhyn. And now I'm following it up. And it connects to the Rhynhuizen castle at the back. And then it goes up to the centre of town. And it connects basically the town to the River Lek. And here's a little bit about Castle Rhynhuizen. And it says it was, owned by the Van Ryns. And here's a bit of, I'm just zooming through this because it's Dutch. So I'm assuming, our Dutch is not as good as it probably could be. But now I've translated into English, and it's basically telling you about Klaas Hendriksen van den Ryn and his children and the coat of arms. And it basically says this is their coat of arms, which is the Rhynhuizen coat of arms, which appears on the Jutvast coat of arms. And it's basically saying that this was the original family crest, which is used on the Rhynestein castle, which no longer exists, but I'll talk about that later. And then it says they've added blue basically to pay homage to the Swedish side of the family. So if you get this one, and then you pay homage to the Swedish noble line, then you get that mixed one of a blue background, gold and red stripes. The same one that they've used on the Rhynhuizen, and the same one they used on the Jutvast town or community coat of arms. Now this is where the story gets a little bit interesting. So Klaas Hendriksen van den Ryn lived around 1300 to 1349. Then he had a daughter. Now that daughter somehow kept the Van Ryn or Van den Ryn surname. She didn't take on her husband's surname. That is a bit weird. Her daughter then also kept the Van den Ryn or Van Ryn surname. Now that's a bit weird. It says that she married a bastard. Now pardon the language, but in those days it meant somebody who was born out of wedlock. So perhaps he didn't want to carry his family name and they kept the Van Ryn name going. I find that quite unusual. So Klaas's granddaughter adopted a new coat of arms, and it appears to pay homage to a few different things. It appears to pay homage to the Swedish colours. It also appears to pay homage to the Counts of Holland, and it also appears to pay homage to the Van Poelgeest family. And I'll demonstrate why I say all these things. The new coat of arms adopted by Klaas's granddaughter has the yellow lion facing to the left with a blue background, and this has some resemblance to the Counts of Holland coat of arms that I'll show in a second, but it is some different colours, but it's quite striking. Now, the other coat of arms that is relevant is the one for Koude Kerk, which means cold church, and some of the family came from that area, and you'll see in the family tree that I showed before, it mentioned Koude Kerk, and the emblem looks a bit like this, yellow and blue once again, and there's a strong resemblance to the Van Poelgeest emblem. The Koude Kerk and Van Poelgeest emblem are very similar. And in some of the other links, you'll see that the Van Poelgeests also are quite prominent in the lineage. And I'm going to just talk a bit more about the castles. So here is the coat of arm of the Knights Court town. And I won't actually talk because you can read. Once again, I've just translated from the Dutch to the English. It doesn't translate the best, but you get the idea. And it tells you that the Van den Rhyns were basically at Rhynhuisen Castle and so on and so on. And then the name changed to Van Rhyn. And then I'm going to show you some pictures of some of the castles as they have since been demolished, but some people did drawings and paintings and things like that. So here's another one, Rhynestein, and you can just read at your own leisure. You can pause it. If it's interesting, you can skip. It's up to you. That's Rhynestein, and remember, all of these coat of arms were very similar. If you go back to the main Knights Court town, you can zoom in, or you can just go to Wikipedia and type in the castle and see the coat of arms. They all have a very strong resemblance with the gold background and 3 horizontal stripes of red. And straight stripes, not wavy ones. They're other families' coat of arms. And here is a picture of it. Now, it should not be confused with the current Rhynestein, which is a little bit further down the road. There's another castle called Rhynestein that I'm showing you a map of. And that one is on the Kromme Rhyn, or Crooked Rhyn. So, yeah, this is a different family, but this one is still in existence. Quite a nice castle, but no connection to us. And then Rhynenberg, also another castle, and it tells you about that. But this one also, sadly, is no longer in existence. So we can't visit it if we ever go to Holland or the Netherlands to please everybody. And here is what it looked like, and I'll put a better picture in a second because it zooms in a bit more. It's almost the end of my video, but I thought I'd show some of the locations. Katwijk aan Zee is where the Stamvader Dirk van Rhyn came from, just near Leiden, which is where Rembrandt lived. And we're going to follow the old Rhine River, and this is Koude Kerk, must have been a cold church. And I'm just following the river, and hopefully we'll find some more places that are mentioned in my little video. And then we're almost in Utrecht, which is where the Rhyn Castle is. And I hope you enjoyed this video.